Hello guys, this is Sir Mars and you are watching Lectures ni Sir Mars. So in this video, pag-uusapan natin yung tungkol sa earthquake loads and we are basing this lecture sa NSCP 2015. So again, nasa structural theory pa din po tayo na subject, okay? So let us first define ano ba yung earthquake loads. Okay, so take note that the earthquake load, according to what we have discussed in the last video, yung earthquake load ay isa sa mga environmental loads kasama na yung wind loads at saka ng rain loads or snow loads. Okay, so let us now define what is an earthquake load. An earthquake is a sudden undulation of a portion of the Earth's surface. So ito yung biglaang paggalaw ng crust ng Earth. So although the ground surface moves in both horizontal and vertical directions during an earthquake, the magnitude of the vertical component of ground motion is usually small and does not have a significant effect on most structures. It is the horizontal component of ground motion that causes structural damage and that must be considered in design of structures located in earthquake-prone areas. So kapag lumilindol guys, gumagalaw yung ating ground, nagkakaroon ng horizontal and vertical direction yung movement ng ating mga structure. Yung vertical direction or yung vertical na component ng ating motion is hindi masyadong malaki kaya hindi siya masyadong nakakapinsala. Pero yung horizontal na motion, ito yung nakakapinsala kaya ito yung kailangan nating i-consider sa pagde-design ng mga structures. Okay? So that is why yung earthquake load ay magiging lateral load or ito yung mga horizontal loads natin sa ating structure kasama na yung wind load. Let us now discuss ano ba yung mga steps na kailangan nating i-consider sa pag-compute ng ating earthquake loads. So ilalagay ko na din dito guys kung saang NSCP section natin siya mahanap. So una, kailangan muna nating i-determine yung occupancy category which can be found at section 103 or table 103-1 of NSCP 2015. Next is the importance factor or I. Ito ay makikita natin sa 28.4.2 na section ng NSCP or table 208-1. Next is the soil profile type. Ito ay makikita natin sa 28.4.3 or 28.4.3.1 or table 28-2. Yung seismic zone naman ay makikita natin sa 28.4.4.1 or figure 28-1. Yung seismic zone factor or Z ay makikita natin sa 28.4.4.1 or table 28-3. Next is a basic seismic force resisting system na makikita natin sa 28.7.2 or table 28-11A hanggang D. Next is the seismic type source na makikita natin sa 208.4.4.2 or table 28-4. Next is the distance from the nearest active fault. Okay, so meron din dito sa NSCP section guys, pero yung mga nasa NSCP section ng mga maps na nandun ng mga fault lines ay hindi masyadong updated. Kaya hanapin natin yung distance from the nearest active fault galing sa PHIVOLCS Fault Finder app. Okay? Next is the near source factor, yung N sub A. Ito ay makikita natin sa 28.4.4.3 or table 28-5. Next is the near source factor na N sub V. Ito ay makikita natin sa 28.4.4.3 or table 28-6. Next is yung seismic coefficient na C sub A. Ito ay makikita natin sa 208.4.4.4 or table 28-7. Next is the seismic coefficient C sub V. Ito ay makikita natin sa 28.4.4.4 or table 28-8. Next is the R and omega sub O, kukunin natin yung values nila na makikita natin sa NSCP section 28.7.2 or table 28-11A, B, C, and D. Next is the values of C sub T and H sub N. Ito ay makikita natin sa 208.5.2.2. Next is the value of the period which is makikita natin din siya sa 208.5.2.2. Next is the total weight ng ating structure. So eto, take note guys, pag nag-compute tayo ng total weight, yung usual na sinasama natin dito is yung weight ng mga slabs from second floor hanggang sa roof deck. Okay? So yun yung ating weight. Okay? Weight lamang ito ng mga slab. Hindi yung total weight talaga ng ating structure kasi ang mahirapan tayong i-compute, lalo na kapag nagde-design pa lang tayo, wala pa tayong mga details, okay? Next is the design base shear, which is V, na makikita natin sa 208.5.2.1. And the last is the additional lateral force at the rooftop, which is F sub I. Kailangan natin itong i-compute, and ito ay naka-base dapat sa section 208.5.2.3. So ayun, so after mo makompute yung additional lateral force at the rooftop, ay pwede mo nang makompute yung distribution sa iba pang mga floor levels, okay? So ayun, so yun yung ating mga earthquake loads. Ito yung ating process para makompute natin yung ating earthquake loads. Okay, so para mas maintindihan natin guys, no, ay mag-solve tayo ng problem. So ito yung ating problem na iso-solve. A 4-story building located in Barangay Pangasugan, Baybay City, Leyte, Philippines has a story height of 5 meters on the ground floor and 4 meters on the other floors. The roof deck has a dead weight of 400 kilonewtons, while the second to fourth floor has a dead weight of 800 kilonewtons. The building is under special occupancy category. A steel moment resisting frame system will be used. Determine the lateral force at a roof deck level. So, sagutin natin itong problem na ito. Okay, so para maintindihan natin yung ating problem, no, ay gumawa muna tayo ng ating figure. So, ito yung figure na ginawa ko, guys. So, ayun. So, again, ito yung ating ground floor. So, ang sabi sa problem, meron daw tayong 4-story na building. So, ito is 4-story, no? Ground floor ito. Ito yung ating second floor na level. Ito yung ating third floor na level. At ito yung ating 4th floor na level. So, ibig sabihin, ito is the roof deck or the rooftop. Binigay na yung mga height natin guys. So, according to the problem, meron tayong story height na 5 meters sa ground floor. So, ito is 5 meters. Then, 4 meters on the other floor. So, 5 meters sa ground floor and 4 meters on the other floor. So, ibig sabihin, ito ay 4 and 4. Tapos, binigay na din guys yung ating dead weight or dead load. According to the problem, the roof deck is 400 kilonewtons. Tapos, meron tayong dead weight. Okay, so according here, the roof deck has a dead weight of 400 kilonewtons, while the second to fourth floor has a dead weight of 800 kilonewtons. So, ito ay 800 kilonewtons. Ito ay 800 kilonewtons at 800 kilonewtons. So, ayun, no? So, kung mapapansin natin, guys, no? Yung ating kukunan ng weight mamaya is yung second hanggang sa roof deck, no? Wala tayong pakialam sa ground floor. So, hindi natin isasali si ground floor kasi, basically, si ground floor is hindi kasali sa ating structural system. Kasi, take note na yung ating ground floor slab, guys, ay nakapatong sa lupa directly, no? So, ayun. So, kaya ang ating kasali lamang dito ay sa second floor hanggang kay roof deck. Okay, so take note na ang ating purpose dito makuha guys is yung lateral force at the roof deck, which is ito yon, no? So paano kaya natin to makukuha? So tawagin natin tong F sub R, no, para klaro tayo. Okay, so paano natin makukuha yung F sub R na yan? Okay, so take note na mamaya makukuha natin yung ating tinatawag na base shear. So ito yung ating base shear, and yung base shear ay nag-a-act sa base ng ating structure. Okay, so ngayon itong base shear na ito ay nire-resist ng buong building. So ibig sabihin kailangan natin siyang i-distribute, no? I-distribute natin siya per floor. So, bale, may i-resist dito si second floor, may i-resist dito si third floor, pati na din si fourth floor, and pati na din si roof deck. So, yung i-resist ni roof deck, yun yung kailangan nating i-compute sa problem na ito. Okay? Sige. So, let us now solve this problem. So, let's start with step 1, that is occupancy category. At ang step 1 ay makikita natin sa NSCP section 103 or table 103-1. Okay, so ito yung NSCP section 103, which is the classification of structures. Okay, so dito natin guys makikita sa table 103-1 yung occupancy category. Okay, so explain muna natin ano ba yung occupancy category. So take note na kapag nagde-design tayo guys ng isang structure, kailangan muna nating malaman yung occupancy category. So meron tayong 5 occupancy category dito, 1, 2, 3, 4 at saka 5. Okay, so explain natin isa-isa ano ba itong mga occupancy category. So take note, ang gamit ng occupancy category guys, no, is para malaman natin yung values ng ating earthquake load at saka ng wind load. Okay, so ngayon yung ating topic ay earthquake earthquake load, sa kailangan din nating makuha yung occupancy category. Okay, sige. So, unahin muna natin yung occupancy category 1. Ano ba yung meron sa occupancy category 1? So, ang sabi, yung occupancy category 1 ay mga essential facilities. So, ano ba yung nandito sa essential facilities? So, ang sabi dito, ito ay yung mga occupancies having surgery and emergency treatment areas, fire and police stations, garages and shelters for emergency vehicles and emergency aircraft, structures and shelters in emergency preparedness centers, aviation control towers, structures and equipment in communication centers and other facilities required for emergency response, facilities for standby power generating equipment for Category 1 structures, tanks or other structures containing housing or supporting water or other fire suppression material or equipment required for the protection of Category 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 structures, public school buildings, hospitals, designated evacuation centers, and power and communication transmission lines. So, ano ba yung ibig sabihin nun? Ano ba yung meron sa mga essential facilities? Bakit natin sila kailangan i-categorize na 1? Okay. So, take note, yung mga nasa essential facilities, guys, ay yung mga structures na dapat nakatayo during calamities. So, ito yung mga structures na mahalaga such that kailangan nakatayo sila during calamities kasi sila yung mga, kumbaga, sila yung mga frontliners. Okay? Example, yung fire and police stations, di ba? So, syempre, di ba? During calamities, nagkakaroon usually ng mga sunog, ng mga pagsabog, di ba? So, ayun. So, of course, kailangan natin ng fire and police stations. Occupancies having surgery and emergency treatment areas. O, syempre, kailangan yun, di ba? Kasi during calamities, nagkakaroon ng mga taong sugatan. No? So, syempre, kailangan natin ng mga surgery and emergency treatment areas. Garages and shelters for emergency vehicles and emergency aircraft. Ayun. So, syempre, kailangan natin ng emergency vehicles and aircraft, no? Para sa transportation to safety ng ating mga lilikas, di ba? Structures and shelters in emergency preparedness centers, of course, kailangan yan. Aviation control towers, natural. Yung communication centers, of course, kailangan yun. Facilities for standby, power generating equipment. Ayun, kailangan, of course, ito. Yung power, kailangan natin. Yung water, di ba? Ito, meron nga ditong tanks or other structures containing housing or supporting water or other fire suppression material or equipment required for the protection of Category 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 structures. Hospitals, public school buildings, guys, kasali dito, no? Kasi minsan yung mga public school buildings ay ginagawa nating evacuation center. So, of course, dapat nakatayo sila during calamities. Designated evacuation centers, natural, and power and communication transmission lines. So, again, no, yung essential facilities, ito yung mga structures na dapat nakatayo during calamities. Okay? Next is yung category 2 na mga structures. Ito yung hazardous facilities. Ito yung mga occupancies and structures housing or supporting toxic or explosive chemicals or substances. Non-building structures storing, supporting, or containing quantities of toxic or explosive substances. So, hindi na kailangan i-explain, no? So, ayun, so ang sabi dito, ito yung mga structures na merong toxic na mga chemicals or yung mga sumasabog na mga substances. So ayun, so ito yung mga hazardous facilities, meron silang sariling category, no? Kasi syempre, 'di ba, delikado yung mga ganitong mga structures. Okay? So ayun. So dito tayo, guys, sa special occupancy structures. So according to the problem, yung ating structure na dinidesign ngayon, yung ating kailangan makuhaan ng earthquake load is under sa special occupancy structures. Ano? Okay, so explain natin muna. Ano ba yung occupancy category 3 or the special occupancy structures? Ito yung buildings with an assembly room with an occupant capacity of 1,000 or more, educational buildings such as museums, libraries, auditoriums with a capacity of 300 or more occupants, buildings used for college or adult education with a capacity of 500 or more occupants, institutional buildings with 50 or more incapacitated patients but not included in Category 1, mental hospitals, sanitariums, jails, prisons, or other buildings where personal liberties of inmates are similarly restrained, churches, mosques, and other religion facilities, all structures with an occupancy of 5,000 or more persons, structures and equipment in power generating stations and other public utility facilities not included in Category 1 or Category 2 and required for continued operation. Okay? So, ano ba yung meron sa special occupancy structures? Bakit sila special? Okay? So, yung Category 3, take note na ito yung mga structures na kayang mag-hold ng napakaraming tao. Okay? So, napapansin ninyo, yung mga nandito lang mga structures ay yung mga structures na kayang mag-hold ng madaming tao. Yung library, yung auditorium, museum, college buildings, institutional buildings, mental hospitals, jails, prisons, church, mosques, ayun. So, yun guys yung ating mga special occupancy structures. In other words, no, itong category 3, ito yung mga structures na such that kapag nasira ito during calamity, madaming mamamatay, no? Kasi nga, ito yung kaya mag-hold ng madaming tao. Okay? So, ayun. So, standard occupancy 4 tayo, guys. Ang definition niya dito ay all structures housing occupancies or having functions not listed in category 1, 2, or 3, and category 5. So, ayun. So, yung hindi natin makikita sa category 1, 2, 3, at saka 5, ay dito natin dapat siya i-categorize sa standard occupancy structures. So, yung mga residential buildings, guys, no, dito siya dapat sa standard occupancy structure, no? Last is yung miscellaneous structures, that is category 5. Ito yung mga private garages, carports, sheds, and fences over 1.5 meters high. Okay? So, hindi na kailangan i-explain. Sinabi na dyan, yung mga garage, carports na mga structures ay under sa category 5. Okay? Sige. So, ayun. So, again, yung nasa problem natin ay sabi sa problem, special occupancy structure. So, that is category 3. So, ayun. So, yung ating first step, guys, is to determine the occupancy category. At ang sabi natin, ito ay category 3. So, ilalagay lamang natin dito, guys, no, para klaro tayo. Occupancy category is category 3. Kasi sabi sa problem, again, this is a special occupancy category. Okay? Next is the importance factor. Okay, so sa importance factor, makikita natin siya sa 208.4-2 or table 208-1. So ito yung 208.4.2. Nandito yung ating mga seismic importance factor, yung I. Ito yun, no? So ito yung ating kailangan, yung I. Okay, so take note na yung ating seismic importance factor ay nakadepende sa occupancy category. So nasabi natin kanina kung ano yung ating occupancy category. Ito yung 3, special occupancy. So in other words, yung ating gagamitin na seismic importance factor ay 1.00. Yung I lang yung kailangan natin, no, hindi yung I sub P. Okay, so I tayo, guys, which is the 1.00. So yung ating value ng importance factor ay 1.00. Next, we need the soil profile type. At ang sabi, the soil profile type can be located at section 208.4.3, 208.4.3.1, or table 208-2. Okay, so puntahan natin yan sa ating NSCP. Okay, so dito tayo, guys, sa section 208.4.3.1. Ito yung soil profile type. Sa section 208.4.3, which is the site geology and soil characteristics. Ang sabi dito, each site shall be assigned a soil profile type based on properly substantiated geotechnical data using the site categorization procedure set forth in section 208.4.3.1.1 and table 28-2. Okay, so meron tayo ditong 6 na soil profile type, which is S sub A, S sub B, S sub C, S sub D, S sub E, at saka S sub F. Okay? So, bali, guys, no, meron tayong table dito which is the soil profile types, no? So, nakadepende yung ating soil profile type sa shear wave velocity or V sub S. Nakadepende din siya sa SPT or what we call the standard penetration test. And nakadepende din siya sa undrained shear strength or S sub U. Okay? So, ayun. So, ngayon, ang tanong is wala tayong information doon sa problem kung ano yung ating soil profile type. Okay? So, hindi man lang sinabi kung ito nga ba ay hard rock, very dense soil, or whatever. No? So, hindi sinabi doon. Okay, pero according to NSCP, ito tayo, no? According dito, exception. When the soil properties are not known in sufficient detail to determine the soil profile type, type S sub D shall be used. soil profile type S sub E or S sub F need not be assumed unless the building official determines that type SE or SF may be present at the site or in the event that type SE or SF is established by geotechnical data. Ayun. So dahil nga hindi sinabi guys, so gagamitin natin ito guys na when the soil properties are not known in sufficient detail to determine the soil profile type SD shall be used. Ayun. So SD tayo guys kasi wala tayong masyadong alam sa ating soil about na sinabi sa problem. Okay, so ito ay SD. Okay, next is the seismic zone. Okay, so yung seismic zone ay makikita natin sa 28.4.4.1 or figure 28-1. Okay, so bago tayo magpunta doon guys, take note na yung ating building is located at Baybay City, Leyte, Philippines. Okay? So, ayun. So, bale, titingnan natin yan, lugar na yan, doon sa mapa ng Pilipinas. Okay? Sige, so puntahan natin guys yung section 208.4.4.1 or figure 28-1. Okay, so dito tayo guys sa section 208.4.4.1, the seismic zone. So, ang sabi dito, the Philippine archipelago is divided into two seismic zones only. Zone 2 covers the provinces of Palawan except Busuanga, Sulu, and Tawi-Tawi, while the rest of the country is under Zone 4 as shown in Figure 28-1. Okay? So, puntahan natin guys yung Figure 28-1 which is ito yung figure na iyon. So, this is the reference seismic map of the Philippines. So, ayun. So, sabi nga sa problem, meron daw tayong dalawang zones lang sa Pilipinas. So, ang gagawin lamang natin is hahanapin natin yung ating site and take note na nasa Leyte siya. So, somewhere dito yung Leyte. So, obviously, yung ating zone is zone 4. So, seismic zone natin is the zone 4. Next, we need the seismic zone factor at ito ay makikita natin sa section 208.4.4.1 or table 28-3. Okay? Seismic zone factor. Okay, so according dito sa section 208.4.4.1, each structure shall be assigned the seismic zone factor Z in accordance with table 28-3. Ayun. So, ayun. So, nandito yung ating mga seismic zone factor, table 28-3. So, according dito, kung seismic zone 2 ka, yung ating Z is 0.2. Pero kung seismic zone 4 tayo, ang ating Z is 0.4. So, ibig sabihin, yung ating Z dito ay 0.4 kasi nasa seismic zone 4 tayo. Okay, so isulat natin dito, no, seismic zone factor is 0.4. Okay, next is the basic seismic force resisting system at ito ay makikita natin sa 28.7.2 or table 28-11A, B, C, and D. Okay, so i-continue natin ito guys sa next na video. So, sa part 2 ng ating video. So, see you sa next video.